All of us are born curious. Scientists keep that curiosity throughout life. We like to explore everything, all of the physical universe, plus everything that people do. Finance? Hey, we find equations. Romantic love? Hey, hormones and heart rates. We like to explore all of it. Well, maybe one exception. We usually stay out of religion, and when we do venture in, we don't feel very welcome. That's no surprise because the few scientists who do try to investigate religion are usually trying to disprove one thing or another. For example, this paper is about intercessory prayer for patients with cardiac bypass surgery. They found the conclusion was that it didn't have any benefit. Now, scientists and religious people have a lot of arguments, especially in political contexts. So, do we need to just separate them? Well, first let's take a look at what makes religion different from all other human activities. Is it the fact that we can't test it in the lab? Well, no, in science we do have plenty of ideas that are beyond experiment. In physics, we include things like dark matter and dark energy, extra dimensions of space, wormholes, and parallel universes. For the most part, these are just mathematical creations that may or may not be useful for something someday. Religions tell us God and human souls live in a spiritual domain of reality, which is very much like the parallel universes that we study in physics. But with one exception. Living people are supposed to have access to both the physical universe and the spiritual universe. So in principle, we have more access to the spiritual domain than we have to a lot of the stuff in physics. There are two things the spiritual domain, or spiritual universe, is supposed to do for us. The first is life after death in heaven. The second is a better life here and now. There have been many attempts to explore life after death. A lot of people have their heartbeat stopped for a certain amount of time, and then they get revived. There's a movie called Flatliners, that first came out in 1990, that explores this concept. Well, most of us are not convinced that anybody has ever died and come back to life because the chemical reactions in the brain don't come to a screeching halt as soon as the heart stops beating. They just slow down and do weird stuff for a certain amount of time, but then you can still get them cranked up to normal. So scientists usually look at life after death the same way we look at the parallel universes from quantum mechanics or string theory or whatever. We explore possibilities and check how many of them are logically consistent with things we can measure experimentally. Now, most scientists come to a screeching halt when they hear about heaven and hell. Heaven's not too bad. We think consciousness is pretty special and information is pretty special. Heaven doesn't sound that far out compared to a lot of the other stuff that we study. But hell is a different story. Now, all of us in the United States have heard the Christian doctrine that God sends sinners to hell for eternal punishment. About 60% of Americans believe in hell, according to a recent survey. The first red flag for scientists is the eternal part. We're really into math, and we understand eternity is an infinite amount of time. We live on earth for only a finite amount of time, so there's only a finite amount of sins we could possibly commit. Eternal punishment, an infinite amount of punishment, for a finite amount of sin, is just wrong. God is supposed to be good with justice and righteousness and even mercy. So it's hard for us to believe that God could punish anybody for an infinite amount of time. Then there's the definition of sin. Here's something that one of my Christian friends posted on Facebook. It tells us the way to escape from hell is to have the correct beliefs. Okay, suppose I told you that you have to believe in Santa Claus, or I'll chop off your head. Well, it would be easy for you to say, okay, sure, I believe. But could you do it? I know I couldn't. If God could read my mind and see what I actually believe, there's just no way I could believe in Santa Claus or a lot of other things. My brain functions the way brains function. I can't change a belief just to escape punishment. And again, Christian theology tells us God created the human brain, and God will punish us for eternity because our brains work the way they do. This is a contradiction that scientists have a lot of trouble believing. And this is where most scientists stop. We can't believe in hell, so we throw out all other religious beliefs. Well, maybe we should start by throwing out the hell part and look to see what is left. Participation in religious activities has well-documented health benefits. In the United States, about 40% of people do not believe in hell, so they don't have to practice religion, but many of them do anyway. They must be getting something out of it for the here and now. My perspective as a physicist is that the doctrine of hell had some value in the ancient world and in the Middle Ages, because at that time governments had not developed well-developed criminal justice systems. The threat of hell was a reasonable deterrent for a lot of sins which have now become crimes. As far as I understand, the doctrine of hell has been softened over the years. In Dante's Inferno, it was a place of fiery torture. Today, many Christians tell me hell is just separation from God, whatever that means. At the same time, life on earth has become enormously better over the last 2,000 years. Earlier generations had hellacious living conditions for all too many people. I suppose they had no trouble believing in eternal hell because the only life they had ever known was not a whole lot better. I believe scientists have contributed greatly to the reduced belief in the hell of eternal torture, because our work is the basis of technology that makes life a lot better. I hope we continue to improve living conditions for everyone, and I hope the belief in hell continues to fade out. So yes, I think scientists should get the hell out of religion.